Welcome to Adobe Audition for Beginners webinar. In this webinar, you'll learn how to record, edit, and save your audio using Adobe Audition. We'll also look into different techniques and demonstrations for the basics of digital audio production for Adobe Audition. I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Ashley Hall, Social Media Manager at Voices.com. We also have a very special guest today, voiceover talent, director, and producer, Scott Fortney. So for today's agenda, I'll introduce everybody to Scott. We'll also learn how to record, edit, and save, copy and replace, the technique called pick up and roll, adding music, fading audio, and music to your audio. So today's special guest is Scott Fortney. At the age of 16, Scooter Fortney began his professional work in the voiceover business in local radio. The first skill he learned was the art of voice acting, how to create pictures in the listener's mind with his voice. As Scooter honed his voice acting skills, he also worked hard to learn every studio production technique available. Those production skills are clearly evident in every project he produces. In 1992, before most people have even heard of it, he purchased one of the earliest pieces of software for video production. Highly skilled in voice acting, character voices, digital audio production, and copywriting. In several of his radio jobs, Scooter served as a director of creative services. For over 30 years, he has written, voiced, and produced several award-winning ads. Today from his home studio, Scooter produces projects for a variety of clients from all over the world, from television and radio commercials to audiobooks, video games, iPod apps, stage plays, internet narrations, corporate videos, PowerPoint presentations, and telephone systems. Additionally, Scooter directs and produces demos for voiceover talents all over the world. If you wish to become a voiceover talent and need a demo, you're welcome to contact him at www.takemyvoice.com. So I'm going to turn it over to Scooter, and now we're going to learn the basics of using Adobe Audition.
All right, thanks a lot, Ashley, and let's get started by opening up a new file, and you do that much in the same way you would do with a word processor or many other pieces of software. Come up to File, and there it is, New, or you could just do the keyboard shortcut, Control-N. That's what I'm going to do right now because I'm a lover of keyboard shortcuts. All right, so now you've got a new window, a new palette to paint your audio picture here, and you're going to start, let me just go out of that and do that again because I skipped past a very important part. You've got to choose the correct sample rate, the channels, and the resolution. Now, what you're going to need to do, especially if you're auditioning on Voices.com, is make sure that these are set at 44/100 sample rate. And for a voiceover, you really don't need to put it in stereo unless you can speak in stereo. You keep it in mono and 16-bit resolution. Now we can choose the new palette, as I said, and we're ready to record. First, let's check our levels, though. Let's make sure that we're not distorting, we're not over-modulating here, and you can do that simply by hitting the function key F10 on your keyboard. Now you see down at the bottom there, I'm a little bit heavy there, so I'm not going to change my levels because I want to make sure that you can hear me here. I have my mic up a little bit higher than usual, but we'll leave it like that. See, if I just talk like that, the levels look really good. So let's record. You do that a couple of ways. See the handy record button here? Or my keyboard shortcut, Control Spacebar. And we're rolling. Just give me that old-time rock and roll. There you go. We've got a recording. Ashley?
Okay, perfect. So now we're going to learn how to edit your audio to ensure that you don't have any unwanted audio, dead air, or empty space in your recording. We're going to learn how to play back your audio, how to highlight your audio, and how to make sure that you get rid of the unwanted audio, dead air, or empty space. Back to you, Scott.
All right, then. Now, we want to highlight the audio that we want to keep. Now, some people might, in this case, highlight the stuff we don't want, hit delete, highlight this part, hit delete. It's much easier just to trim it. highlight what you want to keep, and then you can come up to Edit, and then find Trim, or just do the keyboard shortcut, Control-T. Let's highlight that again. Control-T, and now we've got what we want to keep. Now, if there's any spaces in the audio that you think, I don't want to keep that, I want to trim it even more than that, it's so very easy to take out things like, look, I see a couple of little noises there, and I just want to hit delete on that. There we go. We have what we need to move on to the next phase, Ashley.
Okay, perfect. So after you have created your audio, you would like to save your audio. So we're going to take a look at how to save your audio using specific file formats, and then lastly, how to name your audio files properly.
All right, this is as simple as saving something in Microsoft Word. You can go up to File and see here where it says Save As. You can click that. Now, I have a custom keyboard shortcut, something I created myself, and you can learn how to do those in my tutorials at my YouTube page, Scooter's Voice. But anyway, let's do this. Another way to do this, other than my custom keyboard shortcut, when you've got a basic file that you just made, Control-S will bring up a screen that you want. And all of the ways I've shown you there, the File menu, my custom keyboard shortcut, and Control-S will bring this up. Now you want to name your file. Let's call it Test. Okay? And you want to make sure that, let's get that out of there. Okay, there we go. You want to make sure that it's an MP3, especially when you're auditioning on Voices.com. It's got to be an MP3, and that's what it is right there. Now, if you have a client who says, I need a WAV file, or I need an AIF, an Apple file, or in one case I had a video game that asked me for an OGG, but they're all here. Just hit the drop-down menu, choose what you need, and then you're going to move on to options. And I do this because for some reason, and I don't know if this occurs in the very latest edition of Adobe Audition, which is CS 5.5. I'm not upgrading to that at this point, and I won't get into that. But you want to make sure that Adobe Audition hasn't changed your sample rate and so forth. Make sure it still reads 128, 44,100 mono. Then hit OK. And save, and you saved your file. That's all there is to it.
So we'll move on to a technique called copy and replace. So let's say you recorded something and you like it all, except for one little piece. We're going to find out now how to copy and replace that audio. First, you would choose the audio you want to replace, record new audio, highlight around the head and tail of the audio. Then you would copy good audio and highlight the bad audio, paste into the new audio. So I'm going to pass it back to Scott, and he's going to show everybody exactly how to do that.
All right, in this piece, let's say that I didn't like the way I said old time in old time rock and roll. So what I'm going to do is place my cursor at the end of this file. Now that's important. I actually had somebody write to me and say, you know, every time I try this copy and replace thing, I go over top of my good file, like the whole file. Well, that's because you got to place your cursor right there. And then, let's say I'm going to say old time a different way now. Old time. All right, now I've got a good file to replace the bad, which is right here. What I got to do is zoom in to the head of the new file, new good file. Okay, and then hold down the Shift key and come and zoom in down to the end of that file. And let's choose right there. Now I could copy it, or I could cut it. Now if I cut it, it's going to leave the screen, but it's going to go to my clipboard, which is where we want it so that I can paste it, just like in a Word file. All right, so let's cut it. We could go to Edit, and down here's Cut, or we use the keyboard shortcut, which which makes, keyboard shortcuts, the importance of keyboard shortcuts in editing is it speeds things up. It really does, and once you get into editing, you will find that out quickly, because if you got to keep coming up here to all these files and everything, you're going to see how slow it really does go. So let's Control-Exit. Now, it's on my clipboard. Now we're going to do the same thing with the bad file. Zoom in on the head, zoom down to, hold the Shift key down, and zoom down to the end of that one. Now here's the magic. We can paste over top of that by going to the Edit file. And, whoops, the Edit file is, the Control-V is what it is on the keyboard, and here it is in the drop-down. All right, so let's Control-V. Oh, by the way, you notice before I do anything in this part of the window, the audio part, I always click down here. And the reason for that is, if you're concentrated over here, nothing's going to happen. You've got to be down here or down here, not here. The active window, okay? Control-V, boom. I put in a new old time. That old time rock and roll. All right? And that is all there is to copy and replace.
Perfect. Thanks for that. Okay, so another technique is called pick up and roll. So we're going to learn how to fix a mistake you made while reading your script by a technique called pick up and roll. We're going to edit out the bad and keep the good, highlight the bad audio, then zoom in using a mouse wheel, and then delete the bad audio. So back to you, Scott, on how to pick up and roll.
Yeah, and I call it pick up and roll because when you're asked to fix voiceover errors, it's called a pickup. All right? So here we will pick up and roll, or keep on voicing. Keeps things moving. If you make an error here, you don't have to edit it later. You just edit it quickly and then move on. Pick up and roll. All right? Now to do this, I'm going to purposely mess up. And let's open up a new screen. All right? And let's go. Control spacebar to record. Just give me that old time rock and roll. Okay, stop it with the spacebar. And now we want to find where we messed up, where the train went off the tracks. First of all, let's do the Control-T to trim it out and save only the stuff we want. Just give me that. Oh, right there's where the train went off the tracks. Oh, there we go. Now, holding your Shift bar down again, your Shift button that is, come to the part where you got back on the tracks. Oh, okay. This simple. Delete. Goodbye. And watch now. Just give me that old time rock and roll. Smooth. And that's all there is to that.
Perfect. Great technique. Okay, so adding a music bed. So first off, we're going to explore how to add music to your voiceover audio, and Scott will explain exactly what a music bed to everybody is to get started. Then after that, we will create a multi-track session, and Scott's going to show us how to drag your music and audio into the multi-track session, and then show us how to adjust it. And then lastly, we'll mix down to a new file.
All right, and the reason I call it a music bed, or I don't call it that, everybody in the industry does, the reason I believe it's called a music bed is that it is the audio file that lies beneath your voiceover. So your voiceover lies on top of the music bed. So it's a piece of music that we call music bed. Some of them are many music production companies are out there that and have been out there for many years that actually that's what they do for income, is they produce music beds, 30-second music beds, 60-second music beds for radio and TV commercials and so on. So let's I've already got a piece of music here that I created myself, and we are ready to use that. And what we will do is get into a multi-track session. To get there, you can either click multi-track right up here in the left-hand corner, or the keyboard shortcut, F12, the function key, F12. Now we're in a multi-track screen. Now all these blocks here are tracks, track 1, track 2, track 3. And I want to bring my voiceover. Let's use that first file that we created, test MP3. And I held down, let's do that again. Hold down your left mouse button on that file. Don't let go of it. Don't let go, drag it over. And then right mouse button. You can move it around with the right mouse button anywhere you want. Now I need the music underneath the voiceover. Left mouse button, don't let go, pull it over to track 2. Doesn't matter which track you put any of these in, by the way. It's up to you. Now I want the music to establish before the voiceover. And that looks like a good part right there, these right here. There we go.
Just give me that old time rock and roll.
Okay. I'm going to teach you something different here with something, a little bonus here. Let's go back to this file right here. And to do that, just click on it, and it'll take you back to the edit screen. Double click. There we go. This isn't going to be loud enough to go over the music file. To get it to where you want it to be, or at least close enough, you want to normalize it. And I have a keyboard shortcut for that. Let me just see where normalize is. I believe it's under Effects. See, I'm so used to using keyboard shortcuts that I can't even remember half the time. Well, there it is, under Amplitude and Compression. And my keyboard shortcut, my custom keyboard shortcut, is on the numeral pad, and I made it the subtraction key there. And boom. That brings up this little screen here. Let's normalize it to -1 dB, because that's a pretty heavy music bed there. There we go. See how much that changed? All right. Now, let's save it. Control S, or up to the File menu. Now, F12 to go back to the multi-track session. Now,
just give me that old time rock and roll.
Okay, you can also fade down the music underneath the voice track and then fade it back up when the voice track is over. So let's do that. To do that, there's a, you see these white tabs here? There's one there, and there's one right over here. Never mind the blue one here with these. They are actually something for another lesson on another day. That's balancing left and right channels, so forth. Anyway, let's put a new tab right here at the beginning of the voice track by clicking on the green line there. All right, there's one, and the voice track ends about here, so we click there. Now, that's a start anyway. Click a new one right next to this one, and then hold it down. Don't let go of that left mouse button, and bring it down a little bit. Another one over here. Bring it down, level it off. That's good enough. And
just give me that old time rock and roll.
It's as though somebody had the knob and was turning it down and turning it back up. All right. Now, what do we do next? We mix it down. And to do that, we can go to, let's see, Edit. Try to remember where they are in the file menus. And mix down to New File. And that is right here. And as you see here, you can mix it down in mono or stereo. I want to mix it down in stereo because all the music's in stereo. And as you see, I created a very simple custom keyboard shortcut, the letter M on my keyboard. So watch how fast this happens. Oh. There we go. There's our file.
Just give me that old time rock and roll.
Voila.
Okay, perfect. Thanks for all that today. So if anybody has any more questions, you're more than welcome to visit voices.com/answers. And if anybody has any questions for Scott or wants to check out more of his tutorial videos, you can do so on his YouTube channel, Scooter's Voice. You can also contact Scott at his website, www.takemyvoice.com. And we'd like to invite everybody to join the Facebook group inside Adobe Audition. So we'd like to say, oh, go ahead, Scott.
I'm just going to say we get a couple of new people inside Adobe Audition a day, and the folks there are of all levels of experience, beginners to very experienced, and even one of our members is from Adobe Audition, and he clues us in on stuff coming. It's really cool.
Oh, that's perfect to know. So everyone else is more than welcome to stay in touch with Voices.com as well. You can like us on our Facebook page. You can follow us on Twitter, watch tutorial videos on YouTube, and also partake in the discussions happening on LinkedIn. So a big thank you to Scott today and for everyone else joining us.
This has been a Voices.com production.